A very good evening and welcome to Eswatini TV's 8 p.m. news broadcast. My name is Nondobego Nzapkelwago. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines. MTN Eswatini has announced a drop in the price of data. The Minister for Health has encouraged Eswatini to use the self-testing kits to know their HIV status. The Minister for Tourism has officially launched this year's Tourism Month. And now for the news in detail. MTN Eswatini has implemented a reduction of 32% in prepaid and up to 70% in postpaid data packages effective from Thursday. The acting minister of ICT, Mangoba Kumalo, says this is good news for customers who are entrepreneurs as this change will address issues of affordability.
MTN has launched its brand new campaign, You Deserve the Best, alongside their new data prices. The price of data has been the leading complaint from MTN customers. Therefore, the company has taken a strategic position to respond to their customers' concerns about data costs, airtime disappearance, too many promotional SMSs amongst many. It is therefore the reason it has implemented the change in data costs. The CEO, Wandile Mjali, says this is a process that began in 2016. He says they have undergone 4 major reviews and this is the 5th one.
Le data pricing emakasoma akhalile ngayo kakhulu eminyakeni ledlulile. Kuthi I-data pricing la M10 isetulu kakhulu.
We have been receiving constant complaints from customers, including expensive data, long waiting periods to get assistance from our contact center. Today, we are making a recommitment that we are working hard to address all these issues because our valued customers deserve the best.
The acting minister of ICT, Mangoba Kumalo, says this is good news for customers and those in business as this will address issues of affordability.
Tinhlelo lesicalile singihulumende tekudijitize onke ema-services.
The reduction of data costs will improve both data adoption and usage. These bundles have been introduced at an opportune time when more people and entrepreneurs are interacting online due to the pandemic.
Going forward, the company will continue to revise its data prices to ensure that all citizens have access to data. Reporting, I'm Lungilile Makakula with Mbongwa Dube, Zulwini.
The Minister for Health, Lizingosi, has encouraged the people of Eswatini to embrace the idea of testing themselves for HIV with the use of self-testing kits, as it is still very important that all people in the kingdom know their HIV status. The minister was speaking at the Mountain Inn Hotel during the official launch of the National HIV Self-Testing Campaign, an event that was supported by the Population Services International PSI.
In Eswatini, the idea of HIV self-testing was first introduced in 2017, and it is in this period where people were given the alternative of making their own HIV self-tests that health workers noticed that many people showed interest in the idea of making their own HIV examinations as opposed to this exercise being done at hospitals. Such public interest, coupled with the multiple advantages of HIV self-testing on Eswatini's health system, culminated into the HIV self-testing campaign being launched at national level by the Minister of Health, Lizingosi, on Thursday.
HIV self-testing has potential for being high-impact, low-cost intervention to reach population groups that are not testing and to increase numbers of people living with HIV and AIDS who identified and initiated.
Population Services International Country Director Dr. Indel Tilahan says many people now understand the importance of knowing their HIV status, hence the self-testing initiative has gained such popularity.
And so far, through the partnership and support from PEFAR and United, we have been able to distribute more than 104,000 HIV self-test kits.
Acting World Health Organization representative Dr. Brian Chirombo advises that even with self-testing, WHO recommended practice should be upheld at all times in the fight against the spread of this disease. Eswatini recently reached the 95-95-95 milestone in the fight against HIV, which means that 95% of the country's people know their HIV status, while 95% of those who know their status are on antiretroviral therapy, while yet another 95% who are taking ARVs have had their viral load suppressed. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengwendo with Muzim Konda in Babane.
The Minister for Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, has launched the National Plant Health Inspection Services Portal. The portal will ease doing business among stakeholders who are in the plants and plant product import and export business, as they will now apply for permits via the portal. The launch was also attended by the Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Manqoba Khumalo.
Government has eased the doing of business for individuals in the plants and plant product import or export business by launching the National Plant Health Inspection Services Portal. Minister of Agriculture Jabulani Mabuza says individuals seeking plant and plant product import or export permits will now apply via the portal instead of going to Malken's Research Center for such services.
This will not only cut hassle of traveling to Malken's to acquire these services, but will also save time and cost of doing business. We believe that this facility has come at an opportune time when the government is discouraging movement of people from place to place as one way of curbing the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. As we digitalize our system, we want to align ourselves with the rest of our partners who are already operating electronically.
Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Manqoba Khumalo, says the introduction of the portal will have good results in the plants and plants products import or export business sector.
We need to be excellent at trade, not good, but excellent. And the project that is being launched here today is a classic example of one of the things that will propel us in that particular direction. You can tell that, the experience, the business experience of the farmers, the traders in plant and plant products will be transformational, and they will have a better chance of competing not only locally but internationally.
The National Plant Health Inspection Services Portal cost over 85,000 euros. The capital to design the portal is part of the 2.6 million euros that government got from African Union and the Southern African Development Community. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Ezulwini.
The Minister for Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Moses Vilagati, has launched officially the Tourism Month, September. The minister says Eswatini offers a range of diverse tourism establishments that Emaswati should explore. He said this during the launch at Mahamba Gorge in the Shiselweni region.
The month of September was declared by the United Nations World Tourism as a month for fostering awareness about the importance of tourism and its social and economical value. It is for that reason the Minister for Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Moses Vilagati, has officially launched the Global Tourism Celebration Month in the country. When speaking during the launch, the minister highlighted that they chose to do the launch at Mahamba Gorge because the theme for the 2020 Tourism Day is tourism and rural development.
Tourism and rural development is more relevant than ever as the tourism sector faces up to the COVID-19 pandemic. Tourism in rural areas offers important opportunities for the recovery, and therefore supporting rural communities facing this economic and social impacts of the tourism is critical, because without tourism, many of these communities have no other form of economic activity that can help them generate income. Under this theme, we will undertake a set of activities which will foster tourism awareness in local communities, because tourism has a unique ability to support the revitalization of rural communities. As a ministry, we are committed to guiding the tourism sector as a driver for sustainable economic and social inclusion, and ensuring that tourism can contribute to leaving no one behind.
The minister also urged Eswatini to always remember to follow all stipulated guidelines for fighting the COVID-19 pandemic as they explore and appreciate the country. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Sifiso Nxumalo with Smuva Shongwe, Mahamba Coach.
We will now take a look at the COVID-19 updates from the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health has reported 58 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the country in the last 24 hours. In a statement issued by the Minister for Health, Lizingosi, a total of 328 results were received today, out of which 58 tested positive for coronavirus, which brings the total number of confirmed cases in the country to 4,994. The statement further shows that there are 735 active cases, 4,103 people have recovered, 98 are deceased, and 58 have been registered for care. Looking at the cumulative confirmed COVID-19 cases by region, Manzini region has 2,283 cases, Hoho region has 1,119 cases, Shiselweni region has 417 cases, and the Lubombo region has 375 confirmed cases of coronavirus. Let's continue with the news. Speaker in the House of Assembly, Petros Mavimbela, says members of Parliament who have been trained on how to use Zoom when executing Parliament duties have an understanding of the app. Mavimbela says this during the training of the second group of members of Parliament.
Next week marks the end of the training of members of Parliament on how to use Zoom application when deliberating Parliament issues. The Speaker in the House of Assembly, Petros Mavimbela, says members of Parliament understand how to use the application. None of the members of Parliament missed the training so far.
Training ya Zoom imcwa kakhulu enzabento ukuthi sonke siyaconza ukuthi iCovid ufike nalo afike nako so ke thina siParliament sikhanza kufanele ukuthi basibahlonishwa asithi nakuthiwa asisebenzele ngasekhaya sichubeke sisebende ngokusebenzisa lo Zoom lo show kusuka nyalo nje ngiyakholelwa ukuthi nasesicethe kahle sonke sibabese ke sesiyathi ihlela kahle sikhona ukuthi ema-bills asenjetshwe sisekhaya, ema-motions asenjetshwe sisekhaya, nalomunye nje umsebenzi weParliament siyakwetusa nje kakhulu lokho lesithembe ukuthi amalunga atakuku sebenza kahle.
Senate members have also been capacitated on how to use Zoom application. The Zoom workshop was officially launched by the Prime Minister Mandvulo Dlamini last week. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Ezulwini.
The agriculture industry is one of the 5 key sectors in government's 2019-2020 economic recovery strategy to resuscitate the economy. Eswatini Dairy is one of the many companies that play a crucial role in ensuring that government achieves this, as it produces 6,000 liters of milk per day that it supplies to Parmalat.
Eswatini Dairy was established 5 years ago, and it is involved in the business of dairy farming. They import cattle from South Africa and supply its milk to Parmalat Eswatini. The work that this company does is one of the listed projects in the government's post-COVID-19 economic recovery plan. The farm manager Simon Thomas says their plan is to expand and be able to milk about 1,500 cows a day to supply more companies, as it currently supplies to only one.
Eswatini Dairy is currently milking 450 cows. Our average daily production per cow is 22 litres. The farm is currently in expansion mode. We have imported this year over 300 heifers, and we plan to import more in order to meet 1,500 milking cows. Our objective is to satisfy the Eswatini local market and potentially become an exporter of milk to other countries surrounding us. To facilitate this, we are running a graduate program whereby we take people, train them up to become the future managers of this farm.
Currently, the company has 36 employees, including 2 experts from other countries.
We employ, apart from myself, all local people from the area. And our intention is to only employ people from Eswatini here by transferring the skill sets from specialist expatriates in order that they can run the farm in the future.
Thomas says Eswatini Dairy produces 6,000 liters of milk per day, which it supplies to only Parmalat, hence the plans to expand and supply to more companies. He says to achieve this, they will have to make more profits so that they are fit to import more dairy cows. Reporting, I'm Lungelele Makakula with Mbongwa Dube, Strogoto.
The Scholarship Selection Board under the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has started conducting virtual scholarship interviews with applicants in the Shiselweni region. This was confirmed by the chairperson of the Scholarship Board, Stanley Dlamini.
The Scholarship Selection Board has conducted virtual interviews in 3 constituencies in the Shiselweni region, namely Mtsambama constituency, Kubuta and Sandleni constituency. Chairperson of the Selection Board, Stanley Dlamini, says the process has been a smooth one so far, as they haven't faced any network challenges or other technical difficulties. Dlamini also says they are pleased with how the Shiselweni region has been responsive to the program as applications come in numbers in their various constituencies. Nombali Mkhumane, who is amongst the students that did their interview at the Mtsambama constituency, thanked the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for implementing the online interview system. She says this system has helped cut travelling costs as they are no longer required to go to Mbabane for their interviews. The chairperson of the Scholarship Selection Board says even though the Ministry of Labour and Social Security had already started working on a virtual interview system, the outbreak of COVID-19 actually helped in fast-tracking this system. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Sifisa Ngumalo, it's Muva Shongwe, Mtsambama.
Business Eswatini Chief Executive Officer Mnathi Dlamini has lamented alcohol bootleggers who continue to illegally sell alcohol despite that government banned the manufacturing and distribution of alcohol in the country. Dlamini said this is disappointing because a lot of businesses in the alcohol industry are shutting down while some are illegally benefiting from the sale of alcohol, which is also not benefiting government in terms of taxes.
Business Eswatini says despite the current ban on the sale of alcohol, but the selling of alcoholic beverages in the country is rife and it is worrying. Business Eswatini Chief Executive Officer Mnathi Dlamini says what is bad is that government is not benefiting from the ongoing alcohol sale as it is being sold in the black market.
Noma kuvalile baqhubeka banasa mosibantu. Babutsenga ukuthi babutsengapi ngendlela tabo. And labantu sebasebenzisa lama supply channels asebenziswa ngiladi inkampani vele lisemthethweni kumele sithengisele utshwala and already and noma sekuvulwa angeke bese bayanyamalala nje labantu laba batawuhlala bakhona ngoba vele sesilivumele endlela ukuthi baqhubeke akwati ukuzivisa abhlungu thina. Mina ngibona lapha everyday ngibona leti inkampani sedidenda abantu labasebenzisa la kumabhasi kuthi usikude umsebenzi uthi uyahamba lapha abantu batinathela abantu nibthengelo tshwala bufohla kuphi nakuphi baqhubeka ababhadala imithelo yahulumeni. That is wrong.
Government took the decision to ban the sale of alcohol as one of the ways to curb the spread of COVID-19. Last week, Prime Minister Ambrose Mandvulo Dlamini extended the ban on alcohol sale for another month. The ban on the manufacturing and distribution of alcohol started in July. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Sibusiso Ngubane, Emafini.
In our sports news, the Eswatini Equestrian Association says they have suspended hosting their competitions because borders are still closed and they usually take their horses to South Africa for treatment. Jeanine van Wyk, who is the member of the association, says their sport is a very high-risk sport for both the riders and the horses.
The Eswatini Equestrian Association has not hosted any competitions even after the Eswatini government allowed sporting courts considered to be low risk to transmit the coronavirus. According to Jeanine van Wyk, who is a member of the association, says it is because borders gates are still closed, which makes it hard to take their horses to South Africa for treatment.
But in terms of competition, we just made a federal decision with the committee that we're not going to host competitions at the moment with the borders being closed. We are in a high risk sport, if you like, and we just felt it's safer for our members and as well as the horses just to keep things a little bit low key, a little bit more relaxed and not host the shows with pressure and the pressure of jumping at the heights that they are supposed to be jumping in shows. So basically the whole community has just toned down and we've jumped a little bit lower. We've just gone back to the basics, fixed all the done homework really. So when the shows start again, we'll all be super ready and super trained. But yes, it is a risk for us as riders to not just get out the border if we are needing really serious medical assistance. And the same goes for the horses. You know, we can't just rush out if they need something. So we just decided to be a little bit more cautious.
Jeanine concluded by saying they are preparing to return to action in a month's time, where they will only be hosting training sessions, but they are expected to return to full competition next year, where they will also be raising money since the coronavirus outbreak also affected them financially. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizo Msibi, Zulwini.
The Darts Association says they are looking at ways of raising money to construct a darts center where they can be able to host their games. The secretary of the association, Sbusiso Bajis, says not having their own facilities is delaying their games.
When the government allowed sporting courts with low risk of transmitting the coronavirus to return to action, the Darts Sports Association was excited to be going back to full competition, and they called a meeting with their clubs to find ways in which they can compete safe again. After at least a month since the meeting, they have not been able to return to full competition because of lack of playing facilities. Sbusiso Bachis, who is the secretary of the association, says they're now looking at ways of raising money so that they can construct their own facilities.
We are considering that, looking at the expenses, but we're trying to look how can we raise money so that we can have our own place where we can host darts, having our own center, like the sports center. I mean the soccer center and other sports codes. So we are working on that, and we are looking at how we can do it, putting it in our strategies so that we can develop the darts sport in the country.
Bachi says they are supposed to be returning to action in less than 2 weeks. He concluded by saying they're already talking to some facility owners who can allow them to use to finish their games, and it's promising. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizo Msibi, Zulwini.
We've come to the end of our bulletin, but before we wrap up, let's take a quick recap of the headlines. MTN Eswatini has announced a drop in the price of data. The Minister for Health has encouraged Eswatini to use the self-testing kits to know their HIV status. The Minister for Tourism has officially launched this year's Tourism Month. Eswatini, that is all the news we had for you tonight. Up next is the weather forecast. Good night and God bless.